Uh, this is an exclusive interview with President Jacob Zuma. You know, in the past few days, there's been a lot said about him, and of course, we know the ANC has sent a letter basically recalling him as their deployee from his position of the president. But since all this talk has been going on, we have not had the opportunity to hear from the man himself. Here is the first opportunity he's giving to the SABC to find out his thoughts, his attitude, and of course his next move. Mr. President, to start off, we've been told that it appears like you are defying the party that sent you to the highest office.
Thank you very much, firstly, for the opportunity. No, I have not defied the party. And as you know, as you also say, there has been a number of things happening and things said. I haven't had an opportunity to say anything, partly because I believe things must be handled in a particular way rather than through you guys, the media, in a way. I think I should use this opportunity to explain what has happened from a particular point. I think it was on the 4th of this month when the top 6 came to see me. I don't want to go backward. I just want to start there to put the facts as to what happened since then. The top 6 came to me to indicate that they were sent by the working committee of the ANC to come and persuade me to resign as the president of the Republic. And this was as a result of the discussion that the working committee had had, and also because there was a need to begin a process of transferring the authority to the new president, and therefore the question of that process they've been discussing. And of course, in the discussion, I asked as to what was the problem. Why must I be persuaded to resign? Have I done anything wrong? And of course, the officials couldn't provide what I've done. But it was basically put, there's a good mood in the country, it must be maintained so that we could work hard to unite and go forward. Now, once that motivation is made, that becomes even more important to hear. Have I done something wrong? Because that suggests if I'm not there, situation will be perhaps different. What is it that I've done? So in the process of the discussion, I indicated to the top 6 that this matter they were raising in the first instance is not the first time that it is being raised. In fact, the whole of 2017, this matter was being raised. In the NEC itself, we had 2 major discussions on the same request that had come. And I don't see anything new that is being brought. I then asked even at that time, what is it that I've done? Speaker after speaker, no one ever came to say, look, this is what we have done. And that it is now being raised. The only difference is that now some of the people who were part of those who were raising the issue, they are now in the leadership. They are now, therefore, having an authority perhaps to say this matter must still continue. And precisely because of that, it's not a new matter. I need to be furnished on what I've done. Unfortunately, no one has been able to provide what is it that I've done. Because I said to them, if I've done something wrong, there are processes in the ANC. For an example, there is a process of disciplinary actions that will be taken by the structures that are set for this. And I found it very, in a sense, unfair, very unfair to me that this issue must be raised all the time. And it is just 2 months after the national conference. And there were a number of issues that were raised at the time, and I said, one of my problems is that this issue is being discussed at the leadership level only, nowhere else. Many or some of the leaders are talking to the media about it, and therefore fueling a debate of this nature. Some had said, for an example, the only thing left for Zuma was for him to resign or vote of no confidence or impeachment. And nobody, I would have imagined, for an example, the top 6 would say, look, these are the areas or these are the things the movement is not happy about, and therefore it has finally taken this decision.
So perhaps not cutting you, but are you saying, Mr. President, when they came to you to raise this issue that you must step aside, they did not provide you with reasons?
No, that's what I'm saying. At the discussion in the NEC, nobody has ever provided the reasons. In that meeting, I asked the same question, and I indicated I've been asking this question. Nobody is saying, what have I done? And I said, because it's not policy of the ANC that once you have the conference of the ANC, immediately there's a new president, then there must be a changeover. There's nothing of that nature. Once you take the movement into a national elective conference, a new president is elected. The job of that president is to take over the leadership of the ANC, go to headquarters, prepare for the elections in the next 18 months. And this has been the practice, accepted practice of the ANC. Then the president will then lead the organization in the campaign. And part of the reason that was done, because he would need that time to do so and win elections. And after winning elections, then he gets finally elected by parliament to become the president of the country, and then he's inaugurated. And then there is handover. I was also making that point because some of the leaders, as they've been talking in the media, and they repeated in that meeting, that we don't need 2 centers of power. And that's not a reason, because there are no 2 centers of power. And I helped the comrades to remember that when we used that phrase, it was during the time we were going to Polokwane National Conference of the ANC, because the president of, state president at that time, who was contesting to be the president of the ANC for the 3rd term, he was saying he must be the president, and in the next 5 years. That would have meant the new president of the state. There would be 2 presidents. for the period of 5 years. That's when we said that creates two centers of power. That's what we're referring to. So what these who have been talking now, we don't want two centers of power, I don't think they understand exactly what they're talking about. That's what we're talking about. This time there are no two centers of power. It's a period, very short, 18 months as I say, wherein the other one is finishing a 5-year period which is determined by the constitution of this country. It's a very clear kind of thing. So if you say that period where the one is finishing his 5 years is two centers of power, I mean, it's very immature politics of analyzing. So this I explained as well, so that everybody should be very clear that there is nothing that you can say is a problem. There's no problem. This has been done. There has never been a problem. You will recall that when Madiba finished in the conference in Mafeking, and Comrade Mbeki became the president of the ANC, Madiba continued as the president of the state. And Mbeki was now working, strengthening the organization for elections. This was discussed in the ANC, seen as a necessary thing, how this must be done. If the ANC wanted an alignment, then this would have been done. And I made all of these points to the comrades, that what happened, once that happened, when then Madiba finishes, Mbeki wins elections, there was a handover at the inauguration. Everybody will remember this. There was no crisis. Does that mean the leadership then was not seeing things correctly? The ANC has always seen things correctly. When the ANC conference came, when Mbeki had finished his 2 terms in the ANC, another president came in called Zuma, who became the president of the ANC whilst President Mbeki was the state president. He was there for 18 months. Of course, the NEC decided to recall Comrade Mbeki, not because there was a problem of us not understanding this period. The NEC felt there were specific things that President Mbeki was doing that they felt we needed to take this kind of action. It was not, there was no complaint that there are two centers of powers. And precisely because there is no problem about it. When the NEC discussed this matter, I'm one of those who were in fact saying we should not recall Comrade President Mbeki because we'll be creating a bad precedent. If at all we're not happy, I said, let us talk to him and work out an arrangement. How is he going to perform his duties that would not make people feel uncomfortable? Of course, I was defeated by the majority. And I understood that because the NEC does have that kind of thing. And when it was done, Comrade President Mbeki, when he was recalled, he indeed agreed, cooperated, and there was no problem. And that's why I was asking, what have I done in this kind of situation? Because the system, the policy, nothing has interfered. What I even asked, what is this hurry? What are you rushing for? And then, in the process of the discussion, it was clear that people are saying Zuma must go. My problem was that it's not a new thing. It has been said the entire year, including people who are saying this 101, they're all saying so. They themselves never provided the reasons. So I found it very strange that I'm going to be told by my organization, you now must go, because we now have a new president who must come in. Not following any policy of the ANC. There's nothing of that nature. This arrangement, in fact, about a few years back, one province, Northwest, raised this matter. Why can't we discuss the aligning of the national elections and the conference of the ANC that elect the president? Nobody wanted to discuss that because it was not an issue. And the other problem, and these are the matters I've raised, the other problem I had, when we go to the conference, there are issues, if they need constitutional amendment or whatever, that are discussed. Even if they did not go there, at the conference, these matters, if there are matters that need to be discussed, they have to be raised. And this matter did not appear on the agenda. That immediately this president is elected, we must then change immediately, so that the conference would take the decision in whatever form. It was a new issue which is now looks like so important, so urgent. And I had a problem, and I explained my problems, that they are also talking about it in the media. And that meeting, I was a little bit sharp in discussing the matter, which I think the comrades did not like. Because I was not understanding this leadership, just 2 months. They are now focusing on this issue as if there is no other issue. We've got a lot of resolutions to be dealing with this time. We're spending more time discussing Zuma must go. I don't understand why. But I also indicated to them that whilst we're in the conference, I heard from the grapevine that in fact, Zuma must not give the State of the Nation address. The second one, no, when he leaves in December, he must never come back. But there was also, while the conference was going on, there was also a discussion that no, in fact, Zuma must be removed in this conference before we go. There were preparations that should happen. I did indicate this to the top 6. And therefore, I was indicating this discussion, to me, is not an innocent discussion. It's not an innocent discussion because people have been talking about it. If people talk in the ANC, you get to know. And they've been campaigning about it, other people before. So, meeting that discussion, I was having all of this matter. And I did not hide them. I explained to the comrades. And I therefore said, because we are sent by the working committee, go back and say, no, I did not accept this persuasion of that I must resign. I don't, because I don't understand it. And in that meeting, when there was a bit of a discussion, then somebody said, well, this matter needs the NEC to take a decision. There. The decision, which means we are not even saying, let us go back and report to the working committee so that the working committee will then decide what then to do. Already, somebody in that meeting was saying, well, this decision must be taken by the NEC. Let's go back and report it to the working committee so that we have the NEC to take the decision. And that is what happened. We parted ways. Now, I just want to give you the chronology because I think it's going to be very important. Okay. Then we parted ways. It was on a Sunday. It was on a Sunday, the 4th. On Monday, because I went to KZN, on my way to Cape Town in Durban, as I was taking the flight, one of the colleagues showed me a clip of a clash of ANC members outside the Luthuli house. This touched me very seriously because I said to myself, this is a problem. Because of this matter that is being discussed all over, already the comrades on the ground are now clashing. In fact, the clip shocked me because one male comrade was kicking another male comrade or a person who was lying on the ground. This worried me. I said, we are likely to have violence in this country of the ANC members, and this will be done in our names. I then decided we need to take a different line. Perhaps the discussion we had must have been rough. We needed to change because this cannot be allowed. The leadership has been saying we need unity in the ANC. Then I said, fine, I must be thinking about this. I must reflect on this. When I landed in Cape Town, the Secretary General called me to say, they've just finished the working committee and they've taken a decision that the NEC special meeting must take place on a Thursday that week. But also the president had said that he would like to come and see me to take some discussions, look at the options, and he will also be there, the Secretary General. And I thought this is absolutely important. We'll have a discussion the following day on Tuesday, because me and the president, in a very cordial discussion in December, we worked out how we are going to be coordinating and working together. So we've agreed that Tuesdays will be the days for us to meet, so that matters that arise from the ANC, in particular officials or working committee, that relate to government, will be able to talk all the time. So I said, that's wonderful. When I was reflecting, I realized that, no, we needed to stop this clash that was beginning, because I saw those ANC comrades very angry, fighting among themselves. It is at that point that I felt it is clear that the State of the Nation address date was putting pressure here. There's something, because as I say, in what I heard during the conference, that some people are given instruction that Zuma must not give the State of the Nation address. It is clear that those people are carrying instructions or whatever, but this date, it looks like has something. So I thought I should therefore engage the presiding officers to postpone the date. Postpone the date so that, because it is me who requested the date of the joint sitting, we should have this date away from us so that we can have a chance to have discussions among ourselves to find a way that we solve the problem going forward. I took that decision and said the following day I will do so. The following day, when we were sitting in the cabinet committee, I think it was at about 12:30 or shortly after 12:30, I received a note from my office to say that the presiding officers wanted to see me before 2, because they would be meeting the opposition to discuss certain things. And clearly, one of the issues will be the SONA. I then informed the president, gave him the note to read, and I said, man, this is an issue, let us meet when you come from here. Because I was going now to tell him that, in fact, this is a decision I'd taken. And indeed, I asked him, we met immediately after the cabinet committee, and I said, look, I had taken this decision because I think the situation is a little bit worrying. I told him about this clip that had worried me a great deal, that in the afternoon we'll be meeting. But for now, I've taken this decision that we should postpone the SONA, but I needed to inform the presiding officers to make that request, so that when they meet with the opposition, they will be able to say, the president has proposed this. And I said, tell them I've raised this verbally, the letter is coming. We agreed with the president. We both felt it was a good idea. And indeed, I met with the presiding officers. I said to them, I know why we are here. Just cracking a joke. They said, who? you know things, blah, blah, blah. So I said, look, I've just talked to the president. I've taken a decision to postpone SONA because I think the situation is not clear. If it is today, a Tuesday, and the SONA is on Thursday, things are not very clear. People are still talking with this issue. This is a problem. And I felt that we need time so that we could deal with this matter. They said, fine. All agreed. They went to their meeting. And as soon as thereafter, I wrote the letter, and they announced, and I also announced. We then met with the president later, as we had agreed. I then made a proposal to the president. And the proposal, to me, which was influenced by my feeling that we need to arrest this situation and create a situation that is normal so that we can move properly. And I remembered the meeting that I had with the officials. And I started with the president by saying, look, I think the meeting that we had of the officials, I was rather irritated and I was rather more sharper and rough. And therefore, perhaps there was not a settled discussion properly. And I realized that perhaps I made a mistake by being more robust. And I felt now we needed to approach this matter differently. And therefore, I have a proposal that I want to make. Firstly, I said, I believe that because there is this urgency, this need that I must resign, in other words, there are those that I must resign now, and I don't think that I need to, and there are those who don't think I need to resign now. Why? Instead of dealing with those kind of issues, I think we should have something in the middle that we should agree on, that I should agree to resign. But let us work out a time frame that must accommodate a number of things. That once we announce that, the members of the ANC, the public, Parliament, even the opposition will know I'm not refusing to resign. It's a question of the time frames that now we work on. And I said, I would like that perhaps I should resign. People should know now that I should resign after June. And the reason was this country has relations with a number of countries, including organizations. This country this year is chairing BRICS, is also chairing SADC. And also, the people outside, when they see what is happening here, they've got a particular perception about what is happening. This is going to help us a great deal, not only for us here, but also for the relations of the country and the smooth handover. I think this time will give us time, firstly, to make people, to say there's certainty as to what is going to happen, but also we are going to have an opportunity to work together in front of people so that people could see that we are together and implement practically what we've been saying to people, that we are working for unity, to unite our members so that they work together during this period. And I would prefer that in some of the public gatherings, we appear together so that we show the country, we show the members of the ANC that indeed we are uniting, we are working together. We are making people who have had different views to work together. And whilst we do this, to help strengthen the ANC for the coming elections, then we should have a situation where when the summit comes, the BRICS, I should therefore be in a position to introduce you to the other leaders, that this is a comrade who is taking after me. So to also remove the perception out there that Zuma is being elbowed out, etc., so that they will work with you, because some of them are my colleagues, some of them are my colleagues and friends. And that will be an important thing. I also feel I need, in the AU July summit, I must also introduce you, because the perception in the continent is also distorted. They think Zuma is being elbowed out because this thing that we are saying now has been said and is known. So that I am able to say, here is my colleagues, new president, I introduce you. And I said, for an example, when I was in Addis Ababa, one of the presidents told me that he met you in Davos, and he had said to you, don't remove Zuma before he finishes his time. And the president said, yes, I will tell you, because indeed he did say that. I think it was more than one president in Africa who met him and made those kind of remarks. Now, I understand BRICS Africa. I know exactly the thinking. In other words, as an ANC leader, I was saying, we need to deal with these matters properly, internally in the ANC, as well as our relations out there. And the president agreed. He said, this is a good proposal. We agree with it. I think everything that we have said is fine. Let us take it as it is. In fact, at that point, the Secretary General joined us. For the president gave a briefing to the Secretary General about this, and the Secretary General agreed. We all agreed. It was an agreement of three of us that this is the way to go. In fact, the president even said on this point of appearing together, so that people can see that we are working together, there is no animosity. That the Secretary General, as they organize, because they've been visiting traditional leaders, that in the next rounds, it must include the president of the state, so that even the traditional leaders who also have been talking about this unity will see that indeed we are working together. So it was agreed. It was at that point that between the two, a proposal came from between the two, one of the two officials, to say, then let us postpone the NEC, given the fact that we have had these constructive discussions. Let us postpone it, and then we'll brief the NEC, because it's going to be meeting not long. Because this is now taking us in the direction I think we will succeed to do everything. There are many things we talked about there, about actually that this time, it's the time, so there is clarity, that this is going to bring clarity and certainty. And we parted ways. So there was an agreement as we talked. The following day, the president came to me to say, man, this matter is out there in the media, and it is being distorted the way it is being put, because people don't have information. Then he proposed to make a statement, which we agreed, so that he can clarify the issue. That was absolutely wonderful. We continued working. Then, as I was leaving Cape Town on a Thursday or so, Friday, then there was a proposal that, because we agreed, let us follow up to try now to deal with the package, put everything, because one of the things that we had agreed was that for people to see that we are working together and we are uniting the organization, some of the tasks that the President of the Republic is undertaking could be delegated to the deputy president in government, visibly, including that the deputy president could now more oftenly share the cabinet itself to show that we are working together. We were agreed, we were happy, we pronounced that we are happy, all of us. The Secretary General pronounced he was very happy when we parted. So then the next Sunday, both the President and the Secretary came again, and I was thinking we are continuing the discussion. We'll now be putting all the necessary elements. And they came in another mood, wherein they indicated that they reported this matter to the top six. Top six does not accept this. So that's where the problem began. Something that we had agreed, and we thought this was the way. We thought, therefore, the broader leadership will be able to agree with this, because it was important that the president of the ANC and the state president must talk and agree and give leadership. I was convinced we are going to be giving leadership here, but they said they've got a pressure that they've never seen before from their colleagues, and they're not accepting this package. They do accept one element of it, that I agree to resign, not others. I told them I've got a problem with that, because I've presented a package. You can't dismantle it and take one part, because this one part is leaning to other parties. So it was a big debate. And finally, to say, can't we work out something else? I said, no, to me, this is what to do. And finally, I said, look, this matter must be discussed by the NEC. It can't end up with the officials. So go and present it to the NEC. There was even a point that in the process of the discussion within the officials, somebody had suggested perhaps we need something like 3 months. Even the 3 months was rejected. And it was clear to me that there's a problem here. So when, for an example, the NEC came up with a decision, it was not surprising. It was not surprising. But I couldn't get why this is become such an issue. In any way, that's what happened. But also I had complained about this matter being discussed in public, etc. But nevertheless, the NEC has a right and wisdom to deal with matters. So when the NEC met, they debated this. Again, in the middle of the night, the president and the chairperson came to say the debate is on. It was still meeting. It looks like those who do not want this package, they seem to be dominating. And they'd come to me to say, before they conclude, can I change and perhaps say something that could be more acceptable? And in the process, I said, I've got a difficulty, very big difficulty, because no one is telling me the package that I presented, which you had agreed on, nobody says that has been discussed. And people are saying it's not right, X, Y, Z. The only one issue is the issue of, do I agree to resign or not? And I said, but you can't discuss one element of a package. So this package that, in my view, was going to help us in many ways, as I've said, to unite the organization, to make us work together, to make even people outside realize that the ANC is, in fact, emerging out of this conference in December, indeed working together. I saw the attitude and the manner in which it was being discussed. We seem not to be even doing what we are saying, want to unite, because these matters were being forced, and therefore, I thought it is absolutely important for people to know what has happened, because when these reports, as I've been observing, when they come out, it is just in snippets. When they come to me finally, I said to the president and the SG, my problem is that nobody has provided to me, even in the discussion that we are talking about, what have I done? Because I've explained many times that this process, there's nothing I've done wrong. This is policy. What people are suggesting is a new thing, a new phenomenon. What is the problem? I don't understand. Now, if you think we are going to be agreeing on this one, then I have a problem with your approach and decision, because I don't agree with it. I don't think it is fair. I think it is unfair. It is, I even said to them, I've spent a bit of time in the ANC. At no stage I ever said to the leadership, your decision is not right. It's the first time I feel a decision is not right, and I disagree with it. I said to them, I disagree with the decision that you are taking. If you want to recall, then you recall. You are suggesting, therefore, I should not cooperate in your decision that you are taking, because you have, in my view, no reasons to convince me. Why do you take this decision? I said, you go back with that to the NEC, and this is what happened. I think it is important for me to say this, because out there in the narrative, it looks like, as people are saying, Zuma is defying. I've not defied. I've disagreed with a decision taken. I disagree with it. I think it is baseless. I think there is no motivation that says to me, it's fine. Because in the ANC, you need to be convinced with facts. Even if you don't agree with it, say, no, but I can understand, therefore you take the decision. But this is being done in a manner that I felt I'm being victimized here. So I said I disagree with the decision. Of course, I did not defy. I think that must be very clear. I never defied. I disagreed with the decision, because my feeling is that the decision is not right. It is not based on anything that is either you have wrong here, or this is what is done, you are disagreeing. I think it has been a misinterpretation that once the president of the ANC is elected, automatically must become the president of the republic. That's not the way we do things. It is being forced upon me now. Why? If there are reasons, and there were reasons at one point, I don't think there would be any problem. But if people just say that, I have a problem. I think it's a kind of an ANC that I begin to feel there's something wrong here. Because there would have been a kind of a persuasion. Persuading, we don't just say we ask you to resign. You put facts. Why do we think you should resign? These are the reasons. They are not there. I've never been told. So that is my problem.
Yeah, but this is your organization and this is your leadership. You have stated clearly that you don't agree with the manner in which things panned out at the end. But they have taken this decision as your leadership. So they've said you need to resign. In fact, I think by today, will you resign, Mr. President?
No. Even the manner in which it is taken, is very strange to me. There is such a rush. In the letter that is written to me, one line towards the end says, engagement is open, that we can still engage. In other words, still persuade. In my response that I was going to be doing, I am also saying, I am open to further discussions. But they are rushing. I'm told now they are taking a decision that tomorrow in Parliament, there's going to be a vote of no confidence. Nobody has even come to me to say, we are moving if we don't move. What is the rush? I've been asking this question all the time. Is the manner in which it is being, in a sense, implemented, this decision that I have a problem with? I've notified, they're taking their decisions, they're taking me to Parliament, and of course that's how I came in. I came through Parliament. If Parliament says, we don't want to, those are the people who elected me, why should there be a problem? I would be out. You can't force a decision as it has been done now to another cadre, to another leader. You know, in the process of my discussions with the President and the Secretary General, when they were saying the ANC has the right and authority to deploy and remove, I said, I totally agree. I've been there. And I did this at times. I deployed soldiers to go and fight inside the country, and if necessary, or if the circumstances become difficult, to be arrested or killed. So deploying cadres is what I know best. But I said to them, there are two positions in the ANC that you can't apply that nilly-willy. It's the deputy president of the ANC and the president of the ANC. Because the very nature of their coming to those positions is not like others. Deputy president is elected by national conference as a deputy president. That's the kind of a deployment that you can't just sit in the NEC and say, from now we don't want you to be a deputy president because we think you have an authority. You can't. In fact, we have a recent history that leaders should be remembering. In 2005, a president of the ANC, using his prerogative, removed the deputy president, relieved him of his duties. A problem, political problem within the ANC started then. We are still dealing with it today. When we went to Polokwane, that was the biggest thing. For the first time, the membership said you can't do it, precisely because he's a deputy president. It's not just a member. So that right is not the right that you can exercise anyhow. The president of the ANC is elected by national conference. You can't just say, now move there, because he's the president. So that kind of authority has to be understood how it is applied. Shortly after this one of the deputy president I'm talking about, the NEC of that time took a decision using the authority to recall President Mbeki because it was not happy. That decision caused more problems for the ANC, not just a conflict. Some of the key members of the ANC left the ANC and formed an organization called COPE, because in the manner in which you remove the president is a very serious matter. So can't use those kind of things. I have been in the ANC for quite a while. I think I understand it very well. There are some of the things that may not be necessarily decisions, but they are, in a sense, traditions. But how do you handle the organization? You don't force people. You don't just come to say, because I've got authority, you must go. Hey, you know, if comrades, you know, it's just 2 months from the conference, just 2 months. I think we're being plunged in a crisis that I'm sure my comrades, my leaders will regret, because some people may not like this, may feel there is something wrong. And I'm saying, because in the process of the deputy president being removed in 2005, I've been at part of that problem. I became a president while that problem was brewing. And today, I'm just left with totally 1 month, or sorry, 1 year to go. We are still trying to deal with those matters. The leadership of the ANC, if it's not careful, they might actually cause a bigger problem than we think. It's not, you don't just apply your authority in a manner that could actually cause problem to the organization. This, what I'm talking about, is not like a theoretical thing. It's what happened to us. So I hope they will know how to handle the organization.
But I would like perhaps to share with the broader public, obviously the head of state, and the broader public may want to know your thinking, perhaps at maybe on a different platform, perhaps today, tomorrow?
I don't know. I am going to make a statement today. I'm going to make a statement around this matter. I think it is important that I do so, perhaps away from just the interview that we have had, which I think it has been helpful, so that I can narrate some of the things that are not narrated, which were part of the process, even for the ANC members to know how we've been discussing these matters. Because I've been portrayed as this person who's defying the leadership. I've never defied the leadership of the ANC, never in my life. It will be the first time. Even at the point where I would think that this instruction, but I will say I'm taking it. But I said here, I don't agree with the because there is no evidence, there is nothing. Nobody has taken me through the process of, if I've done something wrong, of the disciplinary processes, or to say here is an issue. You have done X, Y, Z as a result of this, or comrade, because we think, I need to be convinced. And I say, I've said this in all the meetings. What are the reasons? Because this is not like a thing that follows, that once you have a president, then you change. No. That process, you have a president, that president comes to the headquarters, works from there, prepares the organization for elections, lead elections, becomes the leader of our elections, win elections, then becomes the president. Why cut it now? It's an important question to answer, because you are doing something unusual. So that's a point I have a problem with. I do have a problem as one of the leaders of the ANC and the cadres of the ANC. I joined the ANC when I was very young, and I've been here, and I've taken instructions to areas where if I was seen, I would be killed. And I've gone there fully aware, and I've carried those tasks. It's the first time I have a feeling that the leadership is unfair. It's not even helping me to understand what is it that is so critical. It's just that, you must just go. You must just go. I've got a problem with that. The ANC does not run things like that. The ANC that I have been in all the time. And I'm not defying. I'm not defying. I've said, no, I don't agree. I don't agree with the decision. If you don't agree with the decision, it's not defiance. It's a wrong perception or the wrong narrative that is being given out there.
Thank you very much, Mr. President. As you can imagine, we'll be waiting for that statement that you have said you'll present sometime today. That was the President of the Republic, President Jacob Zuma, in conversation there with the SABC.
Mzwai, thanks very much indeed. And so there you have it, an exclusive interview. The SABC was granted with the President, the head of state at the moment. And he was at pains really to, I suppose, give his side of the story, his version of what happened. And what happened was, he says, look, throughout this, I have not been given a reason or have been persuaded as to why I need to give up my position as president. He also spent a bit of time trying to explain what he felt was a misconception about this idea of two centers of power. He said that when President Mandela was president and he was leaving, President Mbeki became president of the ANC, and that happened for a while, and there was no confusion. And so we'd like, as I'm explaining this, I'm saying a very good afternoon to you on SABC2 if you're watching us. You may have missed the President of the country in discussion with our senior reporter, Zwandile Mbeje, and they were discussing the decisions that have been taken by the party, and he was giving his side of the story, and he felt that he disagreed with the decision of the leadership. He was making sure that people understand that he's not defiant. He's upset with the narrative that's gone out at the moment, that he's defying the leadership, defying the party. He just says that he disagreed, and we'll give you a little bit more on that particular discussion that happened as we go to Lucanyo Kalata, who's in Parliament right now. Lucanyo, I'm sure that a lot has come out of the meeting of the Chief Whips.